Hello everyone, how are you? I see a few of you have already joined. I see Shrishti is there, Corey is there, Chetna is there, Anushka is there. Good to see you guys, punctual as always. We'll just wait for another 30 seconds. Hi Manish, how are you? We have Anushka, right? We have Shami. Good evening, everyone. We'll just wait for another 30 seconds for rest of your friends to join, right? We'll give that leverage to them. Any questions or any doubts that you see? Yeah, absolutely, Chetna. You can ask those questions as chapter 5. We will conclude chapter 5 today. What I have today as well is we'll do a practical case, right? An entire case study, how it is going to come into your exams. We are going to do that live just after completing chapter 5. I have that planned. So we'll give 30-40 minutes purely to understanding how a case study is going to come. How do we solve a case study? How do we read a case study? How do we solve a case study? Right. So we'll do that entire thing today. I have that planned as I promised, right? Sure, Chetna. So we will take that up with the case scenario. Okay? So we'll do that today. We will do this resolution for you today, but with the case scenario. After I complete chapter 5, I have taken up, right? We're talking about chapter 2, question 3 and 8. We will do that. While we are doing case study, we'll solve this as well. Sure, Anushka, we will do bargaining power of supplier as well, if that is required, probably. Mhm. Right. Okay. I think we should start valuing the time of everyone who has joined early. We will just start now, right? Okay. So in the last session, we understood that we are talking about chapter number 5, which is your business level strategies, right? When I talk about business level strategies, I'm talking about Michael Porter's 5 forces, right? We're talking about business level strategies, talking about your competitive strategies, which is further talking about 5 forces, right? Michael Porter's 5 forces of defining the competitive landscape, right? It talks about first the rivalry among existing competitors, right? Rivalry amongst existing competitors, how fierce is that? How strong is that? Is what we understood. Then threat of new entrants, new people entering. How do we stop new people from entering? We understood in barriers to entry, right? Barriers to entry could be capital requirement, technical know-how, right? Then we had some pressures through a lot of contracts with suppliers or switching cost with an example of Microsoft Windows, right? So these are some examples we understood on barriers to entry, right? Threat of new entrants and barriers to entry. We talked about threat of substitute. We'll talk about substitute. We'll talk about suppliers today. We also talked about bargaining power of the buyer. What is bargaining power of the buyer? It is as simple as when you know a particular product, when you have a lot of knowledge, and you are a very big purchaser of a particular product, you can command terms and condition, prices of the product as per your comfort, as per your demand, right? For example, we talked about when you are a very big purchaser of a particular product, you can actually have a bargaining power as a buyer, wherein you tell the supplier that, boss, I am buying 10,000 kgs of this product monthly from you. So you have to drop the prices. You will have to give me this product at 10 rupees only instead of 9 rupees, right? So that is a kind of bargaining power you have. Or if you have a lot of knowledge of the product, let's suppose nowadays in e-commerce, you know what the price on Amazon is, what the price on Meesho is, what the price on Flipkart is, what is the price on Paytm Mall, what is the price on Tata Click, right? XYZ e-commerce platforms. And then you decide, and then you can question the supplier, you decide to buy or not. That's the bargaining power of the buyer, right? When you have the knowledge of the product, or you are a very big purchaser of a product. So you have the bargaining power. Bargaining power is nothing but the power to control the terms and conditions even the price or the quality or the quantity, the terms and conditions of the purchase, if you as a purchaser can decide, that is bargaining power of the buyer, right? What about, yes, so difference between Porter's model and competitive analysis. So Mansha, that's a very good question, right? That's a very good question, but you also have to understand the core concept of what Michael Porter's model is telling about. Michael Porter's model is just a way of competitive analysis, right? It's a model that helps in competitive analysis. There's a difference, right? That is the major difference. Michael Porter's model is helping in competitive analysis. It is a tool. It is a model to do competitive analysis, right? That is the difference, because it is a tool that helps you to do competitive analysis. Let us start with understanding today the bargaining power of the supplier. What do you understand by the supplier or seller, right? Supplier, seller, one and the same thing. So the bargaining power of the supplier determines the cost of raw materials and other inputs, right? And therefore influencing an industry's attractiveness and profitability. When a buyer has control over the terms and conditions, it is bargaining power of the purchaser, of the buyer. When the seller, the supplier, has power to decide the terms and conditions of the trade, of the buying and selling, it is the bargaining power of the seller. Now, when a purchaser is a very big purchaser, the purchaser knows all the costs of the product, they are very aware, they have full knowledge of the product, they have the bargaining power. When does a supplier have a bargaining power? A supplier has a bargaining power when the product they supply is very crucial to the purchaser, right? And the substitutes are not available. I'll give you a classic example, okay? Let us suppose you need an ambulance immediately. Can you, and the person and the company which is operating the ambulance says, I will charge 100 rupees per kilometer. Can you bargain? Right? Anyone, can you bargain with an ambulance that like you do with an auto rickshaw? Bhaiya ye to paas mein hi jana hai, 30 rupees le lijiye. Can you do that with an ambulance? Anyone? Can you do that with an ambulance? Absolutely no, right, Manish? We cannot do that. That means the bargaining power is with the supplier, with the seller, with the person who is operating the ambulance, or even the hospital, right? I'm just giving an example. It could be anything. Let us suppose you are an industrialist, right? And you know, let us suppose I'm a company. I'm the only company in India which makes steering wheels. Let us suppose I am the only company in India that makes steering wheels, right? I have monopoly. I'm able to do that. I am the best manufacturer and every company wants to take steering wheels from me. I know that without steering wheel, no company can make their own car. They cannot assemble their car. It is crucial for them and there are no substitutes. I am the best supplier. I give the best quality. I have the bargaining power as a supplier. Or even in the hospital, they know their services are crucial. So if the hospital says that your bill is 1 lakh rupees for 2 days, you cannot bargain. You do not have the bargaining power as a purchaser. But the seller, the hospital has a bargaining power, right? That is what the bargaining power of the seller is. If the product or the service is crucial to this purchaser and there are no substitutes, right? They can ensure high switching costs. For example, now Microsoft says that my Windows operating system is for 10,000 rupees per annum. The license cost is 10,000 rupees per annum. You will have to buy it because you cannot do your official work on any other operating system, right? Even if you can, everyone in your office is using that. Everyone in your client systems, in your client environment are using that. You will have to buy that, right? That is the bargaining power of seller. That is the bargaining power of Microsoft, let us say, right? They have created a switching cost. So if you have to switch to some other product, it will be very costly, it will be very cumbersome, it will be very difficult for you, right? Also, when there are very less suppliers and more buyers, then also the seller has a bargaining power. Common sense, right? If there are less people who are supplying something and a lot of people are buyers. Last year, the supply of oxygen, bargaining power of the seller. Last year, oximeters, bargaining power of the seller, right? The oxygen cylinder was for 80,000, 1 lakh rupees, 1.5 lakh rupees. Less suppliers, more buyers. It was the bargaining power of the seller. The seller was deciding what price I will take. Once that cycle changed and there was a lot of supply of oxygen, now you go and buy an oxygen cylinder, it is for 7,000, 8,000 only. Because now the suppliers are more and the buyers are less. It is not needed by the common man right now. Right? So that is the bargaining power. Absolutely, Krishna. Zindagi aur maut ka sawal hai. You cannot bargain with the seller. It is crucial for you. It is crucial for you. Right? Petrol, diesel are crucial materials. That is right, man. You cannot fight the prices of petrol because they're crucial. You do not have a substitute. If I'm a manufacturer and I have to transport my products from Himachal Pradesh to Karnataka, I will have to use trucks, and trucks are run on diesel. Diesel prices are sky high. I cannot just tell all the truck drivers that take this all this material by walking, right? You cannot walk from Himachal Pradesh to Karnataka. There are no substitutes. They will have to drive their trucks. Is bargaining power of the seller clear? Is bargaining power of the seller clear? I hope so, yes. I would want to hear a yes. Right, Nisha? Even electricity. You're right. All the essential products, all the crucial products which do not have a substitute. Great. Thank you, Sakshi, for confirming that it's clear. What about others? Clear? Great. I see a few clear only. What about others? I would want everyone to just answer if it's clear or not. It gives me confidence that we can move on to the next topic. And I'm also excited for the case that we will be solving today, right? We will have fun in that. It will be a good experience of how do we study a case and how do we solve a case. The case is not Sherlock Holmes, it's a study material case, right? Sure, Abhishek. We will take that after the case, right? Do ask this question again. So Abhishek's question is, he wants to know my experience of becoming a C and what are the skills are you think are needed or are good for future. Right? Sure, we will talk for 2-3 minutes after the session. I'll take that up, right? I'll tell you where I went wrong and probably you shouldn't do that. Bisleri in trains, Krishna, absolutely. When you travel in Shatabdi or something, they come and sell you water bottles or food, and the price they quote is the price you have to take. You do not have a substitute, and because you're thirsty, because you need food, it becomes crucial for you, and that is where the bargaining power with the seller. Okay, perfect. Now let us move on to the fifth and the final force, which is threat of substitutes. Threat of substitutes. Now, what is threat of substitutes? Okay. Substitutes usually limit the prices and profits of the industry, right? What do they do? What do substitutes do? What is substitute? Tea and coffee. Tea and coffee are substitutes, right? They're tea. Like if people are switching to coffee, that means tea business is going down. If people are switching to tea, that means coffee business is going down. Because someone who is drinking tea is not drinking coffee. Someone who is drinking coffee probably or might is drinking coffee very less or is not even drinking coffee. Majority of our parents, if you see, do not drink coffee. Right? Majority of our parents do not drink coffee. They prefer tea, especially in the northern part of India. While in the southern part of India, there's a lot of consumption of coffee. Right? So these are the substitutes. If not this, people will switch to something else. That becomes your substitute, right? Now, if a lot of people start consuming bread, So your wheat, your roti, your plain atta dough becomes is in a difficult position as a business, right? Because if the trend is that a lot of people start eating bread, right? So that means people are consuming less of roti, which requires which requires less of wheat, right? So probably that is what the substitutes are. Now, if I talk about an industry as a whole, what does it do? It limits the prices, right? So if people are going to a lot of coffee instead of tea, then it limits the price, right? Like producers will have to charge less for tea so that people come back to buy tea, right? What about profits in the industry? The profits also go down. The profits also go down because the sales go down, right? See, now wherever significant investment in R&D is taking place, threats from substitute products can be expected. Now, what a classic example is electric vehicles again, right? Your electric vehicles are a substitute to your petrol and diesel vehicles, right? Significant investment in R&D is taking place. Like Ford in India filed for bankruptcy. It went out of business from India, Ford, right? Because a lot of people are investing in EV. In the future also they will invest. So Ford decided, let us just stop our business, right? So wherever significant investment in R&D is going on, there is greater threat of substitutes, like your electric vehicles. There's a lot of investment in R&D in EVs that is going on, and that is why a lot of people are switching to EVs, and the petrol and diesel vehicles are going out of business. Or the companies are switching to this. Tata is switching to that. Your Mahindra, TVS, Bajaj, everyone is Ola electric, right? They're starting to like produce substitutes of petrol and diesel vehicles. To predict profit pressure from this, right, firms must search for products that can perform the same or nearly the same functionalities as their own products. So a substitute is nothing that is something that can do the same thing that your product can do. A diesel or petrol vehicle is helping you travel from one point to another. It is giving you space to your entire family. 4 or 5 people can sit and travel. Same is electric vehicle do. Exactly same is what electric vehicle is doing. It can perform the same, nearly the same functionality as their own products. So as a business, you need to identify those products which can be the substitute of your product or service, that can be a substitute to your product or service, and you have to take care that you invest more, you keep up with the trend. If people are moving on to substitutes, you also start producing such substitutes so that you regain your position, you regain your profit, you regain your business, right? That is what the threat of substitute as a competitive force, as a 5 out of the 5 forces of Michael Porter, which define competition in the industry. The fifth one is threat of substitutes as a competitive force, right? Because substitutes are your competition. Because substitutes are your competition, right? Amazon Prime and Netflix, absolutely great example. Amazon Prime and Netflix, where that's a great example, Krishna. Online classes, normal online classes versus ICAI VLC. Absolutely, these are substitutes. This is a threat for ICAI. That is threat for them. ICAI's classes are there. Absolutely, absolutely. Now you're thinking like a businessman. Great. What are the tools in hands of government to gain competitive advantage? A lot of prizes. A government can drop prices like anything. They have that buffer. Right? That's a great competitive advantage on the prices they can do. Probably they can also play on patriotism, right? That is something they can use as a competitive advantage. Porter model is quite difficult because what we're talking about here is, see, so that's a very good question, Manch. I'll take you back to that slide, right? I'll take you back to that slide. For switching cost to EVs also is high. Not probably. See, a lot of companies are switching to developing EVs, and the cost is not that high as much you are thinking, right? Because we already have batteries. It is just about producing them on a large scale, right? What if I have a business of coffee and that was my core business? Can I shift from it? You have to. Abhishek, the first and the foremost thing we learned in foundation is dynamic, ever changing. Business environment is ever changing and dynamic. Remember, right? It is changing. You have to change. You have to change. If you are not changing, you are out of business, right? Okay. To answer, okay, maybe and both, right? That is not substitute, probably. That is the same competition, but substitute is the same product. What I can say is probably your laptop and tab, right? Your laptops and your tablets are substitutes. Instead of laptops, if someone is using tablet, that is a substitute, right? Theaters and OTTs, that is substitute, great. Television, OTT, again. Mancha, to your question, that's a very good question. I'll want to address that to everyone. So Mancha's question is, will Michael Porter's 5 forces be beneficial for government or government institutions as well? What do you think? I would put that question to everyone. I would put that question to everyone. Let us brainstorm and think. Will Michael Porter's 5 forces be beneficial to government institutions as well? What do you think? What are your thoughts? That's a question to everyone. Is Michael Porter's 5 forces model useful, beneficial, or is it even usable by government institutions? What do you think? What do you think? It's a question to everyone out there. Is it beneficial? Okay, I think you guys are typing, so that is why the answers are not out yet. Let us see. Let us see. What are your thoughts? Mancha, even you can answer. That's a question from you, but even you can try to answer. Let us see what the thought process is. Right, so Krishna says it is beneficial for government institutions. Okay, Krishna. The question is how and why, right? Yes and no with a reasoning. You cannot answer in this class without a reasoning. You have to give me a reason also. How do I know yes is the right? What is the thought process of saying yes? Is what I am interested in knowing. Okay. Anantaraman says it will be beneficial. And again, I would want to understand the reasoning as well, not just a yes and no. Okay, Manish says yes, like BSNL thrown out by Geo from industry, so it is needed by government. Absolutely yes. Good point, Manish. Abhishek says, I guess the government has always an edge above above everyone in the country. It can also put pressure on the suppliers. So yes, it is beneficial. Okay. Valid point, Abhishek. What about others? What about others? Nisha says yes to fight competition against private players. That is right. Siddharthan says yes, it is beneficial for government as it helps to study the competition existing in the industry. Right, I agree with it. Namrata says yes, it is also beneficial to government institutions. Namrata, why? I think you are in line with others. The same reason what others are giving. Right. What about Anjana? Anjana says if the government product are in competitive environment, then in that case it is useful. Otherwise, it is not useful, right? A wonderful answer, Anjana. That is something that I was expecting, right? Everyone is right. Everyone is right. But the key point here to understand is what Anjana has written. She writes, if the government's product or service are in a competitive environment, right, then it is useful. If the product or service is a monopoly, is something that only the government does, then it is not useful. Then it is not useful. Absolutely right. Right. Now, where is this? We studied this. We studied this. Let me just take you back to that particular slide. Let us go back to that slide to understand. To understand. Uh, yes, the assumptions. Right. the first assumption that we talked about in Michael Porter's model was every business operates in a competitive environment. If the government's business, if the government's product is in a competitive environment, Michael Porter's five forces model is beneficial. But if it is not, like railways, what will railways do? What will railways do? Railways do not have to do a competitive analysis. Right? They are the only one who are running railways. They have to fight. They have to keep bringing up the quality, right? But there are no substitutes in terms of people going to planes. They will anyway go. They will anyway go, right? Planes are not a substitute to trains in terms of the economy, in terms of the country we have, right? Still, a lot of people cannot afford airplanes, right? Majority of the, like only the major cities people are able to afford, but we have to look after 130 plus crore people, right? So a very, very less competition in terms of railways. There is negligible competition for railways, right? So if the business or the product is not in a competitive mode, has no competition, then Michael Porter's five forces do not make any sense for that product. But if it is in a competitive environment like BSNL, good one, like Geo, and if we have private players, or even for LIC, we have a lot of private insurance companies now. So even for LIC, they have to do a Michael Porter's analysis. They can do a they can use Michael Porter's model for competitive analysis. One of the tools to do competitive analysis they can use, right? Let us go back to that slide we were on. We were on threats of substitutes, correct? Right. This is where we were, I think, right? Yes, this is where we were. Okay. Absolutely. Government can impose, it is beneficial to government institutions. That is right. And like government can impose barriers. They can. See, it is about the analysis. If the government product or service has competition, then they can use all these things that we studied, entry barrier, or they can have substitute analysis. They have to do everything within Michael Porter, right? Okay. Shamin says reason for government education, right? So government education is also particularly competitive. We have a lot of public schools, but then again, the government schools have a very negligible competition because the majority of population in India is still below poverty line, and they have to go to government schools. They cannot afford private schools, right? So it's a negligible competition there. Because private firms can also produce or can provide services. Absolutely, there's competition to make 5 crore economy competitive against the world. Okay, right, Varish? So you have to compete against the world, but the situation that our country, it's a developing nation. It doesn't have to compete. It just has to survive. It has to sustain first. It has to become sustainable, right? It just have to produce enough so that it sustains everything, rather than being a competition with China or competition with XYZ country, right? It is more about sustaining first, right? If my house is leaking, there is rain and my house is leaking, I will repair my house and I will not see that someone in front of my house is making a building. I will just repair my house first, right? So that is something that our nation is doing. We can say it's not useful for IRCTC, but it will come handy for electric supply. Absolutely, yes, right? Defense equipments, right, Nisha? For defense equipments in India, particularly, government has a great role, right? But there are a lot of private players also, but it's more of a monopoly, right? Semi-privatization of railways, Abhishek, that's a question, that's a thought for a different class, but I think portion of it would help, right? Certain services within railways are already privatized and can be privatized, right? Depending, but then again, our nation needs some kind of backing any. Okay, so if there is competition, then it is beneficial for customers. Absolutely. Krishna says nowadays Kotak and HDFC are the biggest competitors for LIC. That is right. So LIC has to do a competitive analysis, right? I think now it is clear. All the five forces, we studied the five forces amongst existing competitors, threat of new entrants, bargaining power of the buyer, bargaining power of the seller, and threat of substitute products. The five forces, right? Now, there are three important steps. To identify, to determine, to understand the industry's competitive landscape by using Michael Porter's model. Okay. By using Michael Porter's model, you have to determine and understand an industry's competitive landscape. Okay. So the step one is you identify the competitive pressure associated with the five forces. Now you identify the competitive pressure means, are there substitutes? Do the buyers have bargaining power or do the sellers have a bargaining power? What is the existing rivalry amongst the existing players? Is there threat to new entrants? Is there a threat if I want to enter into this industry? Is there a threat to new entrants? You identify which of the forces are applicable to that particular industry, right? You identify which of the five forces are applicable or are active in that particular industry. Then you evaluate the strength of that particular force or forces. How strong, how moderate, how fierce, how normal or weak are those forces, right? Then you identify. Let us suppose you want to get into an industry. Let us take an example. Okay, let us take an example. You want to get into garment industry. You want to get into quick garment industry like Zara, like H&M, like Marks and Spencer, or like Big Bazaar, or like Reliance Trends, right? You want to enter into like real quick consumer durables, I'd say, like wearables, right? Garments industry. Now you evaluate the five forces. Is it tough for new entrants? Yes. Is the bargaining power with the seller? No. Is the bargaining power with the buyer? Yes, because they know the product. They have a lot of knowledge of the product, of the prices. So bargaining power is with the purchaser. Are there substitutes? Not many. How is the competition amongst the existing players? It is very fierce. Reliance Trends versus Big Bazaar, or your Zara versus H&M or Marks and Spencer. It's a very fierce competition, right? So you identify all the five forces and you identify the strength, how tough or how easy those forces are for that industry, right? Is it fierce? Is it strong? Is it moderate? Is it normal? Or is it weak, right? And then you determine the collective strength. Okay, so you say that existing competition is fierce, but there are no substitutes. So the substitute force is weak. The existing competition is fierce, but bargaining power of the purchaser is fierce. The bargaining power of the supplier is normal, right? And you take a collective strength. You take a collective strength of all the five forces, and then you decide whether the industry is profitable or not for you. And then you decide whether the industry is profitable for you or not, right? You identify what all forces are applicable to that industry. You identify and determine, you evaluate the pressure, the strength of pressure of each of those forces. And then you do a collective analysis that all the forces put together, is the industry looking attractive? Is the industry looking profitable? Can I make profits in the normal circumstances in this industry? And then you decide to whether invest or to sustain in the industry, or to like survive in the industry, or exit the industry, right? That is something that you determine depending on the Michael Porter's five forces model of competitive analysis, right? Any doubts on this? It's an easy 3-step of how is Michael's five forces used. What is the use? This is the use, right? Okay, Krishna has a question. Oh, okay. That is the last thing from Krishna. Any doubts, any questions from this, or we will move on to the next topic. Perfect. Yeah, Krishna says the abbreviations is DIE. Okay. Whatever helps you, Krishna, whatever helps you in understanding and learning. Okay, thank you, Abhishek, for telling no doubts. I'll just wait for another 1 2 people to tell me. Is that great? Anand says it's clear. Wonderful, wonderful. Let us move on to the next topic, right? The next topic is business strategy. What is business strategy, right? We're talking about business strategy now, wherein the customers are the foundation of the we know this. We have been knowing this from all the movies, from all the shows that we see, from all the web series, that customer is the king, right? Customer is the king. Customer is the foundation of the organization's business level strategies. This is something that we study in books. This is theoretical, but we all know customer is the king, right? Now, now understand a few things which are related to this strategy and how they function. Okay. Now, an organization's core competencies should be focused on satisfying customer needs and wants. This is a basic understanding that a business should have. If I ask you as a businessman, what do you want to focus on? Do you want to satisfy your needs and wants, or do you want to satisfy the customer's needs and wants? Absolutely, the answer should be to satisfy customers' needs and wants. Only then you will be able to sustain your business. Only then you will be able to identify your core competencies, right? So that to achieve better than average returns, so that you make good profits, right? Knowing, being able to successfully predict and satisfy future customer needs is equally important, right? To be aware what is happening in the future, what will happen in the future, to predict, to be able to analyze is also very important. And that is what all this analysis, all these models we have been studying in the last 5 chapters are helping, right? And this is done through business level strategies. This is done through business level strategies, which helps you identify how the competition is. Is the future of this industry very attractive? Will I be able to make good profits in this industry? This is what business level strategies, competitive analysis helps you to identify, helps you to do, right? Okay, let us move on. Can we use the same? Okay, we have also, can we use the same strategy while investing in stocks? I have no clue, Sahil. I cannot comment anything on stocks. It's a very dicey thing, right? Okay, so Abhishek, as customer is the mostest manipulated thing. Okay, Abhishek, I think you have had a good experience there. Sahil says, can we use the same Potter's 5 forces while investing in shares? Okay, Sahil has the same question again, in a company or a sector. Okay. Uh, in any company, in any sector, you can use this. It is flat. It is general for all the industries, all the companies, right? Krishna, that's a political statement. I will not take that up. Okay, let us move on to understand another important thing, right? That business level strategies. When we talk about business level strategies, what are they ideally concerned about? What are they ideally concerned about? Business level strategies are concerned about 3 things. First is identifying and meeting the needs of key customers. First of all, pehle to you will understand who are my key customers. First of all, you will understand, boss, who is my key customer? I cannot be selling diapers to 20-year-old boys, right? If I market, if I put diapers in a shop where a lot of 20-year-old guys come. So let us suppose you start selling diapers in a gaming parlor. Okay, you start selling diapers in a gaming parlor. Makes no sense. Makes no business sense, right? So you have to identify your key customers and how do you meet their needs is what you have to identify. That is what a business level strategy is. What about achieving advantage over competitors, right? You also have to take care of your competition. That is what a business level strategy does. It takes care of the competition as well. And the third one is avoiding competitive disadvantage. Avoiding competitive disadvantage, right? So that it means you are not weak at anything. If you are weak at anything, you improve that, you resolve that. That is what a business level strategy does. That is what a business level strategy does. Okay. So three things what a business level strategy is concerned about is identifying and meeting the needs of the key customers, achieving advantage over competitors, and avoiding competitive disadvantage. And avoiding competitive disadvantage is what your business level strategy is all about. Okay. Perfect. If it is clear, I'm happy it is clear. What about others? What about others? Is it clear so far? Predicting future needs is same as creating an artificial need for the customer, right? Abhishek, I think you watch a lot of Gary Vee on Instagram, right? That is where these statements are coming from. Okay, where customer he himself was not aware that he needed the product and later he starts using it. Right? This is from the study material what you're studying, and you are copy pasting it here for us. Okay, so Mansha says strategically right or immediately profitable. Which tool organization uses the main customers? Of course, immediate profitability, and it's unethical, right? Right, Mansha. That's a good statement, I would say. Right. So immediate profitability is something that every business is looking at. However, in the long term, that is what we keep talking about. That's sustainable. Sustainable. When we're talking in chapter 2 about sustainability, it was all about being sustainable. Tata, Infosys, Wipro, Reliance, Birla. So whenever we talk in India, we say, like, are you the kids of Tata, Birla, Ambani? Like those names have a legacy. They are sustainable businesses. That is why everyone refers to them. Someone like which are rich from generations, right? Which are businessmen from generations, because they did not look at immediate profits. They were more concerned about what the customer, what the industry, what are the demands in the market, and we fulfill those demands. Even if not the customer, the demand in the market is met by us. That is what their goal has always been, right? Wherever the demand is, whatever the demand is, we will fulfill it, right? That is the business model they work on. Okay. Now, Michael Porter has three generic strategies. So Michael Porter said that, all right, I am giving you 5 forces of competitive analysis. Like these are the 5 forces you need to be concerned about while doing competitive analysis. But I will also give you one other thing. I will tell you what are the strategies to win over competition. Now, Michael Porter is a very smart guy, was a very smart guy who did not just tell you how to analyze competition, but he also told you that how to fight competition. What are the 3 generic strategies? What are the 3 generic strategies that you can use to fight competition? All right. And these are business level strategies. And these are business level strategies that help us understand how do we fight? How do we fight? How do we fight competition? Michael Porter's 5 forces of competitive analysis analyzes what the competition is, where the competition is. Is it substitute? Is the substitute my competition? Are the existing players my competition? Is the supplier my competition? Is the purchaser, is the buyer my competition? Or is the new entrant my competition? Identify, analyze, evaluate, bring together the strengths and see whether it is profitable to stay in the industry or enter into this industry. And once you do that, what are the three strategies you can use to fight those forces, to make benefit of those forces? How did you do that? 3 different strategies. Number 1, cost leadership. Number 2, differentiation. Number 3, focus. Cost leadership, differentiation, focus, right? Okay. Focus is something we all have 0. Okay, including me, I have zero focus. Okay, talking about larger firms, larger firms with great access to resources typically compete on a cost leadership or differentiation basis. Okay. Now, when you have a lot of resources, you have a lot of money, then you work on cost leadership. You try to bring down your cost, you try to bring down your prices to fight competition. You do differentiation. Differentiation requires a lot of investment in R&D. So once you have a lot of resources, you either choose between cost leadership or differentiation. While smaller firms, newer firms generally opt for focused strategies to fight competition. Okay, this is basic understanding. When you have a lot of resources, when you're a large corporation, large organization, you can generally, so you can use anything. You as a company can do anything, whatever you want, you can do if that suits your strategy. These are general understandings. These are general understandings that larger firms generally compete on cost leadership or differentiation. Smaller firms generally focus on focus strategies. Okay. What do we mean by differentiation? Krishna, that is what the topic is. We'll talk about each strategy in detail with examples as always. Okay. Now, look at this table very carefully. Look at this table very carefully. Okay. Now, three strategies: cost leadership, differentiation, and focus. Now, focus is of two types. Your focus can be cost leadership, focused cost leadership, or you can have a focused differentiation. Cost leadership, differentiation, focused. Focused can be of two types: focused cost leadership or focused differentiation. Simple. If your target is broad, I want to cover everyone in India. I want to sell this to everyone in northern India. If I want to sell this to everyone in the southern India, if I want to sell this to everyone in the western Ghats in the western India, if I want to sell this to everyone in the eastern India as far as Nagaland, right? I have a broad target. I will either opt for cost leadership or I will opt for differentiation. If I have a narrow target, I will sell this to people aged between 20 to 25 living in two states of Punjab and Haryana. Narrow target. You have a narrow target, right? I will sell it to only those people who are conscious about their health, and these are women who are mothers, right? To who are young mothers and they're conscious about their health. That is my market. Okay. Focused market. I have a focused market. I will either go for focused cost leadership or focused differentiation, right? As simple as that. Now let us understand each of these in detail. Cost leadership. Number one is, what is cost leadership, right? If I talk about cost leadership, what comes into my head is low cost producer. Xiaomi, Oppo, Vivo, right? These are low cost producers. These are cost leadership strategy. They all have cost leadership strategy. Xiaomi, Oppo, Vivo, Poco, right? All these are cost leaders. Why? Because they sell their products at low cost, right? And they're competing each other by giving more things at a low cost, right? We will understand these in another strategy as well, right? First of all, understand what are cost leaders. Cost leaders are, they're selling, right? They're selling at very low cost and their aim is at broad market, right? Their aim is at a broad mass market. I will sell 1 crore pieces. I will sell 5 crore pieces at a very low cost, right? They are by attracting price sensitive consumers. Price sensitive consumers are consumers who are concerned by prices. If I tell you that I am opening a showroom of handbags, luxury handbags, where the average price of the handbag is 1 lakh rupees, right? Now, the people who are going to come in that showroom are not price sensitive. They do not care about what the price tag is. They just like the product, they buy the product. They are rich, affluent people, right? They are not price sensitive. Who is price sensitive? Majority, 99% of the people, including you and me, we are price sensitive consumers. How are we price sensitive consumers? I tell you that this particular, let us talk about tuition classes, right? Let us talk about tuition classes. You are getting, you know, two teachers who are absolutely famous, right? And one course is opting you for like 18,000, the other one is charging 20,000. You know they're giving the exact same notes, exact same classes. You will go for 18,000. You're price sensitive. Your price, whoever gives me lower price, because the quality in the market is same, the product in the market is same. At the end of the day, they're selling the exact same thing. I will go for the lowest price. But the smartest is the one who is watching this free. Okay, the smartest of you are watching this for free with me right now. So you are the smartest of it. Okay, but talking about the example, those are price sensitive consumers. Those are price sensitive consumers, and the companies are winning over these consumers by underpricing. By underpricing means charging less price than their competition. Poco says 10,000, Oppo says 9,500, Xiaomi says 9,000. Then comes Vivo says 8,500. Okay, so they're underpricing their competitors, right? Cost leadership strategy is what DMart follows. Absolutely, Big Bazaar follows cost leadership. Like your DMart follows cost leadership. These are low cost. They are attracting customers by giving very low prices, right? Now, the internal strategy is sharing resources to build a competitive advantage, which is called synergy benefit, right? How are they able to charge low cost is by sharing resources, right? So what DMart or what Big Bazaar does is they are sharing profits with the manufacturers, with the suppliers, from with HUL or with Procter and Gamble or with Patanjali or with Colgate Palmolive or with Reckitt Benckiser, right? So they're sharing profits. They're saying you put your product in my store and we will charge less from the consumer because we are removing all the middlemen. You can directly put your product in my store. We'll charge very less, and whatever profit we make, we'll do a 30-40, we'll do a 30-70 or a 50-50, whatever the terms are, and that is giving them a synergy, a collective, a team benefit, right? The primary reason for pursuing forward integration, backward integration, horizontal integration is to gain cost leadership benefits. Remember, we talked about someone in the farms of Haryana who was a wholesaler, and he starts to produce milk from his own cows, his or her own cows, right? Why would he or she do that? Why would he or she do that? To gain cost leadership, so that they bring down the cost itself. They do not have to give money to the manufacturer as his or her margin. They will themselves produce and sell. They will gain that benefit and then charge less price. They will become cost leader in the market. So your forward, backward, horizontal integration is ideally done to become a cost leader. Is done to ideally become a cost leader. All the chapters are slowly merging into one and another, and that is what business strategy, that is what strategic management is all about. Chapter 2 analysis falls into chapter 3. Chapter 3 analysis falls into chapter 4. Chapter 4 analysis falls into chapter 5. Chapter 5 tells us something new strategy, which are ideally falling back to what we studied in chapter 4, right? All these chapters merge together because at the end of the day, there has to be a strategy with an analysis, with a logic that you have to keep revising as things change for you. Right? So backward, forward, horizontal integration strategies are done to gain cost leadership, right? Ideally, your cost leadership must be pursued in conjunction with differentiation. I will come to this statement after we discuss differentiation. Okay. Any doubts on cost leadership? Any doubts on cost leadership? Okay, so these business comparative strategies can also be useful for students. Okay, you can follow differentiation strategy to gain knowledge, goodwill, and to impress examiner. Okay, here differentiation means unique ideas, conceptual clarity, good presentation. Absolutely, Mr. That's a great analogy. That's a great analogy where you're telling that you can differentiate your answer script for the examiner. You can differentiate. We'll talk about this when we talk differentiation, that you can add value to your answer sheet, right? Absolutely you can do that. Absolutely you can do that. Any doubts or any questions? If not, I would really appreciate all clear, right? That helps me understand that I can move on to the next topic. Great, thanks Ishika for saying all clear. What about others? Isn't it clear to others? The synergy is nothing but sharing of resources, right? So how do you become a cost leader? When you share resources so that your cost reduces. When you start sharing warehouses, when you start sharing machines, when you start sharing your resources, right? You get benefit of that sharing. Like we were talking about, five friends go to a bar, right? The bill is 10,000 rupees. If each of you has to pay 2,000 rupees, it will be very good for your pocket. Instead, you paying 10,000 for everyone. That is a synergy benefit. When you come together, you pool resources, it is easy for all of you to be comfortable, right? To have more benefit in less money, right? That is what synergy benefit is. Can we move on to the next topic? Resham, we will come to that. Great. Thanks, Rekha. Thanks, Rekha. We will move on to the next topic. What are the actions? What are the actions that you need to do, that you can do to achieve cost leadership? Right. We talked about what is cost leadership. We will quickly understand what are the different things you can do to become a cost leader. Right. What are the different things you can do to become a cost leader? First is prompt forecasting of the demand of the product. If you are able to analyze that this is going to come in the future, you start working on that, and that is why you can get economies of scale. You can get benefit of creating a lot of supply and then selling it off. If you are able to forecast a demand, you can have achieved cost leadership. Optimum utilization of resources, right? Absolutely, you can become optimum. So let us suppose I have a restaurant, and I can make 10 people sit on an average in that area that I have. What if I make 15 people sit, right? I will have more orders, and I can drop down the prices on the menu, because I will earn the same amount of money by more people being able to come into my restaurant, right? So I will drop down the prices, increase the number of seats. So optimum utilization of resources also helps to become a cost leader. Achieving economies of scale. We know what economies of scale is: to lower per unit cost by producing more and more, right? Standardization. McDonald's, Haldirams have more. Sarvana Bhavan, right? Sagar Ratna. What are they doing? They're standardizing. They're standardizing their products for mass production, right? They're doing it quickly. They're doing every day. They're doing a lot of same things every day, that is bringing down their cost, that is increasing their efficiency, bringing down their cost, because there is standardization. They do the same thing in every single restaurant, in every single place that they work, and that helps them reduce their cost and increase their quantity. They can serve more people very quickly. You go to Sarvana Bhavan quickly. You order within 5 minutes. You have that there. You go to Haldiram's, quick service. You want chole bhature, 2 minutes. You want Raj Kachori, 2 minutes, right? Quickly, there's standardization. The faster they serve, the faster you eat, the faster you exit, the more customers come into, there is more space for newer customers, and that is why they become a cost leader. They are able to achieve more profit even by reducing prices, because they are able to increase their quantity, right? Investing in cost saving advantage, right? You invest in technologies that help in saving cost. Let us suppose you put a technology in your factory that tells you that a lot of product is being wasted. Now that technology helps you identify wastage and then you reduce wastage. So you drop down your cost, right? So technology helps you. If you invest in technology, that can help you become a cost leader. Resistance to differentiation till it becomes essential, right? Resistance to differentiation till it's become essential. That means because differentiation will require a lot of cost. Differentiation will require a lot of resources, a lot of cost. And if you plan to differentiate yourself from the competitors, you will have to invest a lot of money and efforts, and your cost will increase. So you have to resist from differentiating. You have to resist from differentiating till it becomes essential. Till it becomes essential, right? We will come to this. We will come to this when I talk about differentiation. But remember, if you have to become a cost leader, you will have to resist from differentiation till it becomes essential. Okay. What are the advantages? What are the advantages, right? Quickly, we can do that. It helps remain profitable, right? Rivalry. Competitors are likely to avoid price war because you are the cost leader. Your competitors will not fight you on prices because they know that you produce something at a very low cost, which they cannot match. So they will not fight with you on prices. Buyers are unable to exploit the cost leader because you're already charging very low price for a very good product, right? Suppliers will have the ability to absorb greater price increases. That means when the supplier increases their prices, right? When the supplier increases their prices, you can tell them that I am buying so much from you, I have so much quantity that you will have to keep the prices low. So the suppliers will be ready to keep the prices low for you, because when you're a cost leader, you have a lot of quantity, right? Like Oppo or like Xiaomi can tell some of their like suppliers that I am selling 20 crore handsets in a year, right? I'm selling 20 crore handsets in a year. So if you decide to increase prices, I might stop buying from you. I will buy it from someone else, right? So the supplier will have the ability to absorb price increase. They'll say, okay, we will not increase prices, but do not reduce the quantity of your purchase, right? So you have the ability there. Entrance, right? New companies will have a lot of cost because the already cost leader has a lot of benefits of economies of scale, of technology, of suppliers, of buyers. So a new entrant might not be able to match the cost leader. So you are already pushing out new companies from entering the business because you have a lot of resources already set for you, right? Substitutes. The leaders may lower costs to induce existing customers. Now let us suppose you are the cost leader and there is a substitute for your product. You will just reduce the price of your product even more so that people do not go to substitute. You have the power to reduce your prices more, and thus people will not go to your substitute product. They will stay with you. Right? For example, we were talking about television and OTT. Okay. Now if television was a cost leader, television companies could have said, if they were cost leader, that boss, you just pay us 150 rupees flat. You just pay us 150 rupees flat, and we will give you all the channels, all the movies, all the web series on your television with a particular schedule. It will not be on demand, but we will give everything for free on TV on particular channels. What if they could do that? Then they could have stopped a lot of people from moving to OTT, right? That is what a cost leader can do. If TV was a cost leader, they could have done this, and thus they could have stopped people from moving to substitutes, right? These are some advantages of cost leadership. right? What are the disadvantages? What are the disadvantages, right? It is easy. Competitors may imitate your cost reduction techniques. Like McDonald's used standardization, the Burger King started making same thing. Your KFC is doing the same thing. So a lot of people are able to copy you, right? Cost leaders succeed if the firm achieves higher sales volume, right? You will reduce cost, but you will only be able to retain or sustain your business if you're able to bring in a lot of sales, right? Only if you're able to bring in a lot of sales, you will be able to sustain your business. You cannot be a cost leader with a low quantity of sales. You have to make a lot of sales to be profitable when you are a cost leader. That is a disadvantage. What is another disadvantage, right? That it involves a lot of advertising cost, a lot of market research cost, a lot of research and development cost. It can prove to be a lot expensive. It can prove to be very expensive if you're not able to make high sales, right? If you're not, so what if Xiaomi is able to make 20 crore cell phones in a year, but they're not able to sell even 5 crore, right? Not profitable at all. You cannot be a cost leader unless you make high sales, and it can prove to be very expensive, right? You need to have a lot of technological advancement. You need to be technologically very, very advanced. You have to be very advanced technologically to be a cost leader, right? Other associated risks could be the swing in consumer interest. Like you could be a cost leader, but what if the customer doesn't want your product at all, right? What if the customer chooses not to buy your product? What if the trend changes? What if the trend changes? What will you do? You cannot do anything. This is the disadvantage. This is the disadvantage of cost leadership, right? This is the disadvantage of cost leadership. Right. Purchase and production of electric vehicles is a point of cost leadership strategy. Uh, it is some way or the other going to be a cost leadership strategy. Right now it is not. Right now it is not. But in next 5 to 6 years, everyone is going to go for cost leadership strategy, right? Absolutely, absolutely. Prompt forecasting of demand needs, because if the demand increases, then the resource prices will also increase. Absolutely needs. That is the basic understanding we have, right? That is something basic we have. Any doubts so far? Any doubts so far? Any doubts so far? Any doubts? Or shall we move on to the next topic? Thanks, Abhishek, for confirming. Absolutely, absolutely. That's a good example, Krishna. An iPhone is expensive, but you do not want to use their OS. You want to stick with Android. So even if Apple is giving you something very good, the consumer interest lies in some other product. They cannot help. If the consumer doesn't want your product, you cannot help that, right? I think we should move on to the next topic. Great, great. Thanks, Shavin. Thanks, Manish. And thank you, Namrata, for confirming. We can move to the next topic, which is a question. Which is a question, right? Which do you think is not the risk of pursuing a cost leadership strategy? The question is on the screen. Let us see who all can answer. Question is on the screen. I have answers already. We will wait for another 10 seconds. What about others? I don't see a lot of people answering. Why is that so? I want all of you to answer, please. I want all of you to answer, please. Okay, so the correct answer is D. Higher price may lead to less demand, right? It is not the risk of pursuing cost leadership. That a higher price may lead to less demand. That is not a risk of cost leadership. It is a risk. It is not even a risk. It is an economic theorem, right? That higher prices will lead to less demand. More the prices, less the demand. Less the prices, more the demand. Right? It is not a risk. It is an economic theory, right? Okay. Now let us talk about differentiation. Let us talk about differentiation. Okay, I think there are no doubts. Let me just check. No, the answer is D, that is higher price. That is not a risk associated with cost leadership. Right? That is something that is not a risk of cost leadership. Now the focus should be on differentiation. Now the focus should be on differentiation. Okay, what is differentiation? A differentiation strategy is nothing. If I have to tell you, it is being unique. Uniqueness is differentiation. Uniqueness is differentiation, right? The strategy is again aimed at a broad mass market. The strategy is again aimed at broad mass market, aimed at broad mass. Okay, just give me 1 second. Probably the highlighter. Here we go. Aimed at broad mass market. It talks about uniqueness, right? Because of differentiation, the business can charge a premium. I want you to just think about Apple. I want you to think about Apple products, not the fruit, but the company. Not the fruit, but the company. Okay. Think about Apple. Think about Apple products, right? They are unique. They are aimed at broad mass market, right? What is unique? The quality, the status, right? The OS is unique. It is very unique to that particular product. They create a unique environment for the customer, right? And because of differentiation, they're able to charge a premium for the product. Premium means they're able to charge higher prices for their product and services, right? Differentiation does not guarantee competitive advantage. Differentiation does not guarantee competitive advantage if, 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 if industries offerings are sufficiently standardized or if rapid limitation by competitors is possible, right? That means differentiation will not guarantee a competitive advantage if everyone can do that. Simple. If everyone can do what you think is unique, if everyone can do what you think is unique, then that does not guarantee a competitive advantage. Common sense, right? If everyone can do what you're able to do, what if I say you are so flexible that you can put your leg behind your head? Now you go and you think that this is something only I can do. You go to your class and you see 5 other people can also do that. Right? That will not guarantee a fame, a competitive advantage to you, because everyone other is able to do that. Most of the people are able to do that, or even many people, including you, are able to do that. So it does not guarantee competitive advantage. So a product development strategy. Which strategy is used in differentiation? Product development. Remember another chapter. Cost leadership talked about which strategies. How can you do a cost leadership strategy? What are the different strategies we talked about when we were talking about cost leadership? Can anyone tell me? Can anyone tell me? What were the strategies from chapter number 2, chapter number 4 that we were able to identify in cost leadership? What were those strategies? Can anyone tell me? What were those strategies? Which ones were they in the cost leadership? Can someone help me? Let us see who can. No answers yet. Why is that so? Why is that so? Who can help me? Srishti says generic, right? Which generic strategies? Which generic strategies? Name those generic strategies. Who can help me? Then when we were talking about cost leadership, when we were talking about cost leadership, no, Manish, no, that is not the right answer. Value chain analysis, no. Diversity, no. Like product development may offer differentiation. Product development is offering differentiation. What strategies were offering cost leadership? What strategies were offering cost leadership, sirs and ma'ams? What are we talking about? Forward, backward, and horizontal integration. Forward, backward, and horizontal integration. Right? Forward, backward, horizontal integration strategies help in becoming cost leader. Product development strategy helps in differentiation. Right? No, 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 Nisha, no, Mansha, no, Shami. You forgot. We talked about the strategies of forward, backward, and horizontal integration help to gain cost leadership. Product development helps in differentiation, right? Now I think you will remember this. Now I think you will remember this. Okay. Now, what is another example of differentiation? Like Airtel. Airtel says zero complaints, zero questions, right? Is what their campaign is. They are differentiating. They are creating something new. They are creating something unique for their brand. That we want to achieve zero complaints, right? You have seen that ad. Zero questions, zero complaints, right? That is how they are differentiating themselves from their competition. That is how they're differentiating themselves from their competition, right? Great. Now, how to be unique? How can you offer uniqueness? How can you offer differentiation? By making innovative products, by making innovative products, by establishing superiority through pricing, right? Consumers pay for quality. So what you can do is you can offer very good quality and then charge high prices. What will this do? This will differentiate your products from the competitors. This will differentiate your products from the competition. And that is what differentiation is all about. That is what differentiation is all about. Okay. What about organization differentiation, right? Like building a fan club for your company. organization differentiation, right? That is building a brand power, loyal fan clubs. For example, in IPL is coming. They create differentiation. How is RCB different from Chennai Super Kings? How is Chennai Super Kings different from Delhi Daredevils, or whatever the name now is, right? How is like a Rajasthan Royals is different from Kings 11 Punjab? That they're building a brand power. They're creating loyal fan clubs. They're differentiating their brand from their competition, right? They are differentiating. So a Punjab has a different brand image than Chennai. Chennai Super Kings has a different brand image than RCB, right? So you differentiate your entire brand, right? That is also part of your differentiation strategy. That is also part of your differentiation strategy, right? You make innovative products, you establish superiority through pricing and organizational differentiation. You differentiate your brands altogether, right? This is how you do differentiation. This is how you can be unique. Now, this is the strategy is usually adopted to achieve differentiation. Like we were talking, how do you do that? Now, there are certain further things that you can do, right? Like offers utility. Now, to be differentiated, what is differentiation? In simple terms, is you are different from your competitors. Anything that you do extremely different from your competitors and customers value that, that is differentiation. Anything that you do differently from your competition and consumers value that is your differentiation. So you offer utility. That means you offer more uses of your product and service to the consumer. You improve your performance. You offer high quality. You do rapid product innovation. You ensure, like iPhone, I'm telling you, iPhone does rapid product innovation. Every 1 year, 9 months, they have a new iPhone. They have a new iPhone. Right? Rapid innovation, offering high quality, improves performance, new OS, operating system updates. They offer utility. You can do this with the camera. The camera is as good as an HD camera. The phone is this. It is super fast for this and gaming. It is crack resistant. Offers utility. Taking steps for enhancing brand image. It keeps on enhancing its brand image, right? And brand value as well. Fixing product prices, premium prices. It is fixing. Everyone knows iPhone is costly. No one says iPhone is cheap. So they're fixing product prices based on unique features. They know customer values their product and they charge that price. They fix price based on the offering they have, right? So these are the things that are helping them to be unique, that are helping them to do a differentiation strategy, to do product development. A differentiation strategy is a product development, right? This is what a differentiation strategy is all about. Like MI has a fan club. Great example, Sahil. MI has like Xiaomi MI has a fan club. So people go there, they have a loyalty point system. Like in Reliance Trends, like in Pantaloons, they have a loyal fan club loyalty points. They give you credit cards. For every 1,000 rupees purchase, you get 100 points. Right? That creates a brand value that differentiates your brand from the competition. Right? That is something that these strategies help. Okay. Now, what are the advantages? What are the advantages of differentiation? Right? Brand loyalty. Once you differentiate yourself from the competition, your consumers, your customers become loyal to you, right? Buyers do not do any negotiation. They are loyal to you. They are ready to pay for your product. They do not do negotiations. Suppliers again know that you have a very loyal buyer customers. You have very loyal customers. So they also do not charge more money or charge more terms and conditions because they know that your brand value is huge and you have a constant demand. New entrants find it difficult because innovative features that you as a differentiated product as a company are offering, new companies will find it very difficult to break that because you have already loyal customers, you have innovation already going on in your product as well, right? Now, substitute products cannot replace a differentiated product which have high brand value and enjoy customer loyalty. Substitutes cannot replace a differentiated product. Just remember that, okay? Substitutes cannot replace a differentiated product which has a very high brand value and they enjoy customer loyalty, right? That is right, Nisha. Offering Geo your Prime membership with Airtel or Geo SIM. That is something that they do. That is strategic alliance. Offering Amazon Prime with Geo SIM, offering your Hotstar with Airtel SIM. That is strategic alliance. That is strategic alliance. That is right, Misha. That's a good statement. What are the disadvantages of differentiation? It is difficult to sustain, right? You cannot ensure, it is very difficult. It is not about cannot, but it is very difficult. But it is very difficult to sustain being unique for a long term. Someone somewhere will come and beat that uniqueness, right? Charging too high prices for differentiated features may cause customers to switch to another alternative, right? Now, the example is OnePlus. When OnePlus started giving a phone for 35,000, right? OnePlus Nord, OnePlus, people who were there with iPhones, they started switching to these Android flagship smartphones. A lot of people switched to these phones as well because for the same premium status, they were using a premium phone, a premium Android phone, but for half the price of iPhone, right? So charging too high prices for differentiated products and features may cause customers to switch to another alternative, may cause the customer to switch to another alternative, right? Differentiation fails to work if its basis is something that is not valued. That is what I said. That is what I said. Your differentiation, your uniqueness has to be valued by the consumer. Only then it makes sense. Only then it makes sense. Otherwise, it is useless. Otherwise, it is useless. Okay. So Krishna has an example, like in Indore, one of the big malls, they distribute free popcorn, okay, and pani puri and more to their customer. Like Krishna, I would want to visit this mall. Who is giving you free pani puri? Send some pani puri to us. Right. It's lucky of you to get free pani puri. That's a wrong example, Krishna. I will have to take a break then. You're giving examples of pani puri to me. Okay, so the disadvantages of differentiation is difficult to sustain. People might switch to alternatives because the prices charged are high. And if the customer is not valuing your uniqueness, there is no point in having a differentiation. There is no point in having a differentiation. Like if I visit, I'll visit this place then, which is giving free pani puri. What about this Chappan Pakwan that place in Indore? Okay, let us not talk about food. Let us focus on strategic management. Otherwise, I'll keep talking about it. Right? Any doubts on this topic while we solve the question? While we solve the question on the screen. There's a question on the screen, boys and girls. Which is not the basis for differentiation? Which is not the basis for differentiation? Which is not the basis for differentiation? which is not the basis for difference? It's a simple question. I will just give 10 seconds for this. Great. I already have some answers. I just 5 more seconds. Whoever wants to answer, please answer. 5 more seconds. Great. The correct answer is economies of scale, right? Why? Why? Because economies of scale is a method of cost leadership. It is not the basis for differentiation. It is a method of cost leadership. Okay. I will just move this question and we will focus on the focused strategy now, because I want to cover case study. Otherwise, we'll be short of time. So after doing focused strategy and the best cost leader, we will straight away go to the practice case study. Okay. Now, focus strategy. Focus strategy is nothing but cost leadership and differentiation to a very narrow market. Okay. Cost leadership and differentiation is for mass, for a very big market, while focused cost leadership, focused differentiation is for a very narrow, very selective customers, for very selective customers. Okay, for very selective customers like Ferrari, okay, like Lamborghini, like Patek Philippe watches. This is a luxury watch brand, like Rolex, like Bugatti cars, right? Like private jets. These are focused customers. Private jets, Bugatti, Ferrari, Patek Philippe watches, Rolex watches. Right? These are very focused products, focused services, right? Now, the focus strategy is most effective when the consumers have distinctive preferences, right? Now, the focus strategy is good when the customer has preferences. Customer wants the best luxury watch. Customer wants diamond in their watch. Customer wants a sports car that goes 0 to 100 in 3 seconds. Right? The customer has a lot of preferences, right? And when the rival firms are not attempting to specialize, that is when you do a focus strategy, right? The focus strategy depends on an industry segment of sufficient size with growth potential and not crucial to the success of other major competitors. A narrow market doesn't mean that there is no market at all. A narrow market doesn't mean there is no market at all. A narrow market also doesn't mean that there is no growth potential. Now, Ferrari, if you know there are the top 100 richest people, I will make cars for top 100 richest people, only 100 customers. There is no growth potential. But what Ferrari does is, whoever keeps becoming rich, they start buying Ferrari. That is the brand. So there is a lot of growth potential. People in India are becoming rich buying Ferrari. People in China becoming rich buying Ferrari. People in Singapore becoming rich Ferrari. People in Vietnam becoming rich buying Ferrari. People in Sri Lanka becoming rich buying Ferrari. People in Europe becoming rich buying Ferrari. So even if it's a narrow market, it has growth potential. Only then you go for focus strategy, right? Now, this is to be only in conjunction with differentiation or cost leadership based on the strategy, right? Now, the focus strategy will either be you focus on reducing the cost for those particular customers, or you focus on differentiating your product for those narrow set of customers, right? Now, this is what low focused cost leadership and focused differentiation is about. It's a narrow market, but either you focus on that narrow market basis being the low cost producer or by being a differentiated product, right? The examples I gave was majorly focused differentiation like Ferrari, Bugatti, Rolex. What about focused cost leader? What about focused cost leader, right? I don't know if you know a product. There's a product for baby products like newborn individuals or newborn babies you have. There's a product that only makes cushions or only makes mattresses for those people. Very narrow market, and they sell it at a very low price. they sell it at a very low price. So it's a focus that only newborn babies from ages 0 to 1, that is the size they make, and they provide and they make that product at a very low cost. They sell it at a very low price. So it's a focused cost leadership. It's a focused market that only children from 0 to 1 will be able to use that, right? And we are selling it at a very low price. So that is what focused cost leadership is all about. Okay. Now the risk is people will imitate you, right? People will imitate you, or the consumers will go to some other product. There are only two risks: that your consumer market, that is a narrow market, will move to some other product, or your competitors will imitate it, right? That is the only risk you have in your focus strategies, right? If I talk about focus cost leadership that I was talking about, right, it is about competing based on price to a target narrow market, right? Now the problem is, if you look at this example, okay, even within luxury brands, there is cost leadership. Even within luxury brands, there is cost leadership, like Rolex and Omega, right? Now, Rolex and Omega, both are luxury brand watches. Now, both of them are reducing their prices. Now, they're strategically reducing their prices so as to gain advantage over the other. Rolex is for 2 lakh rupees, Omega is for 1,80,000 rupees, right? Now, even they are, it's a focused market. Only the rich are buying lakh rupees of watches, but within that also, they're doing a cost leadership. Who is giving better thing? Who is giving the same thing at a better price? Who is reducing that price, right? That is focused cost leadership, right? Focused differentiation, like we talked about Ferrari, right? Ferrari is a different product altogether. No other car looks like Ferrari, right? They have differentiated their brand, they have differentiated their product, and that is why they're charging a premium. Differentiated products are charging a premium. Ferrari is charging a premium, but the market is very focused. Ultra rich, ultra super rich people are only going to buy that, right? And they're differentiating their product. That is why they're charging a premium. 5 crores, 7 crores for a Ferrari. They're charging a premium, right? A Mercedes is for 27, 28 lakhs. A Mercedes is also for 80 lakhs. But a Ferrari is always 4, 5 crores. That is the premium of differentiation that Ferrari is charging for a focused market of ultra rich people. So focused differentiation, right? Customize ice cream or jewelry or car. That is right. That is your focus strategy. When your market is very focused, when your set of customers you want to sell your product or service to are very narrow and focused, that is what focused strategy is. Within that, either you do a cost leadership or you do a differentiation, right? Now, how to target, right? What should be your target for your focus? How do you understand what is your focus? Is you selecting niche? Your niche means what specific area you want to get into. Like I want to get into products of children from ages 0 to 1, right? That is my niche. That is my comfort area. Right? Creating superior skills. That means if I am very good at creating luxury cars, I will focus on that market. High efficiencies. I will improve. I will give such high quality because of my high efficiencies, right? And then developing innovative ways in managing value chain, right? Ferrari is developing innovative ways so as to sustain that brand value. It is developing innovative ways through social media, through advent of media, to manage their brand value, to innovative ways to sustain that focus, to sustain that differentiation, right? So that is how you target exclusivity. You see what is your comfort area. You ensure you have superior skills. You give high quality through high efficiencies, and you develop innovative ways to stay relevant. Right? What are the advantages? You can charge premium prices, right? And due to tremendous expertise, rivals and new entrants find it difficult. Anyone who wants to fight Ferrari will find it very difficult. And Ferrari can charge premium. That is their advantage, right? What about disadvantage, right? The firms lacking distinctive competitiveness may not be able to pursue. To have a focused strategy, you should have something good to offer to the customer, right? If I'm not making a product as good as Ferrari, if Ferrari is not making a good car, if they hadn't been making a good car, a sports car or a luxury car, they would not be able to follow focused strategy, right? There is always limited demand because your market is small. There is always limited demand, although there is growth, but the growth is not exponential. There is always smaller stagnant growth, right? The demand is limited. That is a disadvantage of focus strategy. The another disadvantage of focus strategy is, what if your comfort area, what if your niche could disappear or to be taken over by a large competitor? What happens, let us take example of that producer who is making mattresses for small children 0 to 1. What if Reliance starts making that? What if Reliance also starts doing that? Everyone will go to Reliance, right? My focus strategy will be a flop. So if something is taken over by a larger competitor, what you are doing for your focus market, a large producer comes into your focus market, your focus strategy will fail, right? That is a disadvantage. That is a disadvantage, right? I will skip the question. We will do the case study. My focus is case study today, right? The final and the foremost strategy is best cost provider strategy. Best cost provider. We were talking about the generic competitive strategies from Michael Porter, which were cost leadership, differentiation, and focus strategy. Under focus strategy, we had differentiation and cost leadership. Now, there's another strategy beyond all those four strategies. There is another strategy which is beyond all those four strategies, which is best cost provider strategy. Which is best cost provider strategy, which says one simple thing. Which says one simple thing, that merge everything. Merge all the four strategies. Merge all the four strategies. And what I have is the concept of value for money. We studied the concept of value for money, and this is the strategy that ensures value for money. This is the strategy that ensures value for money. Now, the classic examples are Xiaomi, Oppo, and Vivo. Even though they're cost leaders, they are also the best cost providers. They are the best cost providers. In simple terms, what is a best cost provider? The best cost provider is that provides the maximum products, the maximum usage of a product at the best or the lowest price. Maximum quality, minimum price. Maximum quality, minimum price. Maximum quality, minimum price. If you are able to do this, you are able to fight your competition. We are studying here fighting our competition through a strategy. We are studying to fight our competition through a strategy, and the best cost provider strategy helps us to fight our competition by giving the consumers maximum quality at lowest price. Maximum quality at lowest price. That is best cost provider strategy. Lower price than the competitor, higher quality than the competitor. Lower price than the competitor, higher quality than the competitor. Nothing but best cost provider strategy. Nothing but best cost provider strategy. Lower price than the competitor, higher quality than the competitor, which is best cost provider strategy, right? That is what chapter 5 is all about. Now, I would want you to ask any questions from any of those for the next 5 minutes. We are done with chapter 5, which is competitive strategies, wherein first we talked about the Michael Porter's 5 forces: substitute products, bargaining power of supply, bargaining power of purchaser, existing rivalry of the existing companies or the competitors, and threats of new entrants. We understood how we do a competitive analysis on the 5 forces. Then Michael Porter also gave us 3 strategies to fight competition, to win over competition. The first one was being a cost leader. Being a cost leader. Second is differentiating my product from that of the competition so that I win over competition. And the third one was to focus on a smaller market, either through cost leadership or through differentiation, and win over my competition. There's a newer concept that we also studied, which is best cost provider, that is giving the maximum quality at minimum price as compared to your competition so that you win over your competition. These are business level strategies of competitive analysis of winning over competition. That is chapter number 5. We will have a break for 5 minutes. For those who want a break, go get something to eat, drink, go for something relaxing or stretching. While I open the case study we will be solving live today for practice. It's an exam case study. We will do that live. For others, any questions, please put in the chat box. I will be happy to solve that while I open the case scenario. Right. This is more like a 5-minute break. Go stretch yourself. Go find something to eat or ask me questions. Any questions from chapter 5, boys and girls? Or has everyone gone for a break? They're fed up of studying so much, so they've gone for a break. Is it so? Is it clear so far? Are the 5 chapters clear so far? Arushka, I've uploaded the case study. It's already uploaded. I've done that. You can download it. I've uploaded the case study. For all of those who want to refer this, I've updated this PPT as well. This presentation is also uploaded. Those are good examples. I missed Tata Nano, Sarigama Karawan, right? Good examples there. Thanks, Nakul. Thanks, Nakul. That helps. If you've understood all the concepts clearly, you can always refer back to the sessions. Probably there are a lot of examples that I keep giving that might help. I think that will help. That is the only thing I want to ensure, that these examples help you guys. Not a problem, Shrishti. You can refer back the sessions. I hope you're not driving the car. Then I would suggest you watch the session after. That's quite cool that you're watching while traveling. That's great. Even you're studying while traveling. Great for everyone. So I'll just take another 1 minute more break, and then we will continue with this. Otherwise, we will be short of time. I want to end this at 8:30. Do not want to stretch this because I think a lot of you would have dinner time by then. Probably I also will have to go by then. All right. For everyone who is probably on a break, I would request you come back. Right. We will start with live practice of a case and a few insights on the exam. Right. We'll just give another 30 seconds. Probably everyone who's listening, please be back. We are starting with this one. Great. Thanks, Anushka, for confirming. I hope everyone else is also back. Just drop a yes. Probably that will help, so that I'm not missing out on anyone. If you're already watching, just drop a yes or something, please. A thumbs up or a yes, or anything you want to type in. Great, thank you, Manish. Thanks. I mean, that is what this next 40 45 minutes are going to be about, is how do you solve questions, right? We have done good 5 big chapters. Now we'll understand how do you solve a question, how the questions will come, what kind of questions come, and how do you solve that? How do you relate those questions to whatever we are studying, right? That is what we're going to do in the next 40 minutes. That is what I wanted to do with you guys in the next 40 minutes. I think this will help you a lot. Okay, great. I see most of you are back. Perfect. Okay, so first of all, the exam pattern. All right. So this exam will have two question formats, subjective and objective, right? 35 and 15 marks. The objective, the focus I am doing here is on the objective question. Right? My focus for you guys is objective, because subjective questions, I think, are fairly depending on how you write an answer. It's more on how you frame an answer, right? But objective questions are where you are tested on the case. You're tested on a particular MCQ. That is what my focus today is. We'll do an independent MCQ live here, and we'll also do a case-based MCQ question live here. Okay, great. So this is a kind of a question that you will see in examinations, right? This is a kind of independent MCQ. This is a kind of a concept-based MCQ that you will find in examinations. Read the question very carefully. Read the question on the screen very carefully. It's a case question. It's a small independent concept-based question, right? Read the question very carefully and answer. And answer. It's an exam question. It's an exam question. Read the question carefully. Look at the keywords and then answer. Read the question carefully and answer. Did I just reveal the answer? Right, I have answers. I have answers. Another 1 minute. Another 1 minute I'll just give to all those who are still typing and reading. And then we will discuss what is the answer and why is that an answer. Okay, so the correct answer is threat of substitutes. The correct answer is threat of substitutes, right? Majority of you have written threat of substitutes. So I think you understand, right? This is capable of housing smaller products in paper-based, right? So what is happening is this PTC's product, PTC's product is basically a substitute. PTC's product is basically a substitute to BPC's product. PTC's product is a substitute of BPC's product. So it is a substitute. As per Michael Porter's force, it is a threat of substitute. Correct? Am I right? No, no, this is threat of substitutes. Why? Because the product of PTC, because the product of PTC, because the product of PTC is a substitute of BPC's product. What is a substitute? Similar things, same functions, kind of a similar utility, right? It is a different product, but it is giving the same use to that particular consumer. It is giving the same use to that particular consumer, even though it's a different product. That is what substitute is. That is what substitute is. And PTC's product is a substitute of BPC's product. That is why it is a threat of substitute as per Michael Porter's 5 forces. Simple. That's an exam question. And once you know the concept, the questions are easy, right? Fair enough. Let us move on. Let us move on to the mega case question. Now, here's a big case. Now, here is a big case. Based on this case, you will have 5 MCQs. Based on this entire case scenario, you will have 5 MCQs. From this case, you will have 5 MCQs, and we will reveal those questions. Take 5 to 7 minutes, read this, take a screenshot. Take a screenshot. I've uploaded this case. I've uploaded this PPT. You can download that PPT. You can refer that. You can refer that, right? This is going to be there on the screen. Either take a screenshot or something and start reading. Start reading. It's 8 o'clock. I will give you time till 8:07. Take 7 minutes and read the entire. Very carefully, each and every word, each and every concept that you think is coming here, right? I will give you 7 minutes and I will shut up because I think I'm distracting. So read it carefully. I have uploaded this case as well. You can download that. 5 more minutes. Four more minutes now. You can download this. This is there if it is not clear, or take a screenshot. Wait, Shushi. We'll wait for others for another 2.5 minutes. We'll let everyone read that. And then we'll quickly jump on to the MCQs from this case. Okay, right, so we'll wait for the questions to come. Thanks so much, guys, for confirming. Another 1 minute for others who are still reading these. Last 1 minute, and then we will jump on to MCQs. Last 1 minute, and then we will jump on to MCQs. As you complete reading, just type in you're done reading or you're completed. As I will wait for the questions to come. I think we have practiced this. Thanks, Akshi, for confirming. Thanks, Atul. What about others? The time is up. I will straightforward go to MCQs. I hope you have read, right? I'll just wait for 30 seconds. For those who all have done, I hope everyone has done reading, right? Just please drop a done or I've read or something. Just type something that helps me understand that you're done reading. Or probably take a screenshot so that it is there for your reference. Probably I'll keep moving back as well. But still. Okay, so the first question is on the screen. Which of the following aspects do you think are missing from Cosmetrics' early business policy? Which of the following aspects do you think missing from Cosmetrics' early business policy? Do not type the answer. Do not type the answer. Just write it somewhere with yourself, all right? Just write it somewhere with yourself, or probably keep noting somewhere as well. I will just move on all the questions and then we'll discuss each question. Probably you can type also. You can just drop in your answers, but also keep noting of what answer you gave, right? Also just write down somewhere question 1, A, B, or C, D, whatever you have. Just write it down somewhere as well. You want to type? Please go ahead, type that as well. That is also okay. If you want, I can go back to the case if you want to refer. Probably that is why I said you better take a screenshot so that you can read back again, right? That becomes easy. It's tough in an online segment to do that. The question is, which of the following aspects do you think is missing from Cosmetics' early business policy, right? I am moving on to the next question. I'm moving on to the next question. I'm moving on to the next question now. The next question number 2 is on your screen. I'll just take 1 minute on this slide. You have to be quick. You have to be quick. I'm moving on to the next question. I'm moving on to the next question. Question number 3. What amongst the following can be said about Cosmetrics business till Amixo partnered with them? What amongst the following can be said about Cosmetrics business till Amixo partnered with them? till Amixo partnered with them. What can be said about the strategy, about the business strategy? It was a maxi mini, maxi maxi, mini mini, and mini maxi. It's a simple one. 30 seconds, 30 seconds more, then I'll change the slide because we will discuss each question in detail. I hope you guys are writing down your answers somewhere so that once we do that, you're able to understand what went wrong or what went right. What are your strengths and where you're losing marks? Another 30 seconds and then we will go to the next question. What amongst the following can be said about cosmetics business till Amixo partnered with them? Till Amixo partnered with them. What can be said about their business strategy? I'm moving on to the next question, question number 4. Amixo from Japan has been expanding in Southeast Asia because of which of the following 2 advantages over its competitors? It should be 1. I've written 2. Or which of the following advantage over its competitors? It should be 1. This is not 2. Amixo from Japan has been expanding in Southeast Asia because of which of the following advantage over its competitors? It's a very simple one, I think. Okay, another 30 seconds and then we'll jump on to the last question, which we have not studied yet. It is a concept we haven't studied yet. We will study that in the coming sessions. But I want to see if you can still answer for those who are revising, for those who have already studied. Let us see if you can answer that. 10 seconds on this question and then I'm moving on to the next one. What kind of leadership did the management of Amixo expect from Ms. Amrita Ahuja? What kind of leadership did the management of Amixo expect from Ms. Amrita Ahuja? Is it transactional leadership, transformational leadership, focused leadership, or differentiating leadership? The last question from the case. What kind of leadership did the management of Amixo expect from Ms. Amrita Ahuja? All right, let us go back to the case, back to question number 1. The answer to question 1 is B, right? And we're talking from chapter 1. We're talking from chapter, the color is different. Just give me 1 second. We will take a good color. Why to take a red color? Right? Why is it B? Why is it B? Tell me. Tell me. Oh, okay. So what is happening is it is diversification strategy, which is conglomerative in nature. This is the answer. It is a diversification strategy, conglomerative in nature. Why? Oh, we're talking about question number 2. That is why. Where is question number 1? My bad. Let's talk about question number 2 first. Then if I've opened that, right? Rise was a well thought strategy, but it failed enormously, leading to a major cash crunch. Right? It was a diversification strategy, conglomerative in nature. Right? It was a diversification. Why conglomerative in nature? Can someone tell me why was it conglomerative? Why are we saying conglomerative? What are the keywords? What are the keywords in the case that help you understand that it is conglomerative in nature? One says because different, unrelated businesses, right? Because unrelated businesses, right? Branded watches and cosmetics, right? They were adding new segment of branded watches. They were diversifying from cosmetic to branded watches, unrelated business, diversification, but unrelated business, right? That is why question number 2, it was a diversification strategy, conglomerative. Conglomerative is unrelated, right? We talked about this. It is unrelated businesses. Unrelated businesses. That is why. Branded watches and cosmetics are unrelated businesses. That is why it is conglomerative in nature. See, question number 1. When I talk about question number 1, absolutely. Cosmetics and watches are unrelated business. That is conglomerate. Simple. That is how you understand the concept from a case. Okay. Which of the following aspects do you find missing from cosmetics early business policy? What do you think? Right? What do you think? What do you think? Let us read and then understand what the answer should be, right? Let us read and then understand what the answer should be. The management had a staunch belief that brick and mortar business shall prevail even if consumers opted to buy online, and thus to turn around the brand, they added new segments, right? Even when the huge flocks of consumers shifted to online buying, the business of cosmetics started to slow down, right? Now, the huge new segment involved huge spending, distribution, promotion. It ate up 80% of the company's working capital. It can only be turned unfortunate that even when Rise was a flop show strategy for the company, the management saw one of the biggest losses in a decade and was skeptical of continuing the business. Right? Right? Now, the question says, which of the following aspects do you find missing? Right? Is it functions and responsibilities of senior management? Is it defining crucial problems that affect success? Is it decisions that determine direction, or is it decisions that shape its future? Right? I see a lot of you also say decisions that shape its future. Right? What about others? What do you think? The early business policy did not talk about defining crucial problems that affect success, right? Question 1 is all about defining crucial problems that affect success, and hence all the strategies were flawed. What were they not doing? What were they not doing? They were not defining the crucial problems that affect success. They were just adding new segment. They were not able to identify the root cause of the problem, right? They were not able to define the crucial problem that was affecting success. They were not identifying the problem. They were just finding an opportunity to grow. But what about the existing? Because there was a slowdown in the business, you have to identify the problem first. And that is what was missing. And that is what was missing. They were not identifying and defining the crucial problem in the business, right? Not doing e-commerce, not going online, sticking to brick and mortar. That is, they're not defining the crucial problem of the industry, of their company. That is what is missing, right? No, this is option number D is dependent on B. If you have to understand this, option number D is dependent in option number B. Option number B is what is telling is missing. What is missing is that they're not defining the crucial problem. They're not defining the crucial problem. Right? That is missing. Shaping its future is already there. They're going for future. They're going for new watches, diversification, newer business. Let us do new business. They're thinking about future. They are thinking about future, but they're not identifying and defining what is wrong already. You cannot just go for future without working on the present, what is wrong, right? Question number 3. What amongst the following can be said about cosmetics business till Amixo partnered with them, right? What was the strategy? What have you answered? Absolutely, Sahil. That is a great. So what you're saying is they had already a threat of online sellers, which resulted in follow sales. They could have converted themselves into e-commerce. They did not define the crucial problem, right? So which was also a flop show. They started to watch this business. That was also a flop. Pallavi says because they were successful already, but they failed to identify problems that were going on in the industry, right? Question number 3. What among the following can be said about their business strategy before they partnered with Amixo? Before they partnered with Amixo, what is the answer you are giving? Right? The answer is WO. That is mini maxi. What does WO stand for? Weakness and opportunity, right? Weakness and opportunity. Weakness and opportunity. It is weakness and opportunity. Why? Who thinks is the question? The answer is D. Anyone who is with option D? Anything who thinks the option is D? Anyone who thinks the option is D? Okay, Namrata says option D. Anushka says option D. Why? Why? Why do you think option D is the right? I want the reason. Why do you think it is option D? Why do you think the option is D? Why do you think the option is D? Right. So Manish says because there is opportunity to go online and the weakness is on the side of the business. They are not going online. They're not putting resources to go online. Right? it was their weakness that they were not into online business, while they could have converted their weakness into an opportunity. Right, right. Because it is facing financial crunch or a continuous loss, which is a weakness, and there is an opportunity in the market, right? Their weakness was online platform that they're not going, and they can also add an option to convert themselves into online. So from weakness, they had an opportunity to exploit, and they were weak to not being able to identify that, right? Right. The news, it can only be, but what is happening there? What is happening in the first three paragraphs? What is happening in the first three paragraphs? Are we talking about any strength of the company? No. Are we talking about any strength of the company? No. We're only talking about weaknesses. We're only talking about weaknesses, right? So when you're looking at this, option A goes out, option B goes out, because the case is not talking about any of the strengths. It is not talking about any of the strengths of the business, right? What it's saying is, was one of the fastest growing, was, but because the online is coming, it is slowing down. It still thinks that we should not go online, we should do a watches business in our own brick and mortar. It was a continuous flop. We are talking about weaknesses here. So when you're answering question 3, the first 2 are already out of context. There is no strength. Now I have to identify out of these two, weakness and threat or weakness and opportunity. Going online is an opportunity. Going online is an opportunity out there which they are not utilizing. So the correct answer will be WO. The strategy they should identify and work on is to overcome their weakness and exploit the opportunity. To overcome their weakness and exploit the opportunity. Right? Right? I think now you understand how to solve a case. This case is not even talking about any strength. So you will not consider the first 2 options out of question. Now you think it is a weakness and threat or weakness and opportunity. It's an opportunity. Going online is an opportunity. And they have to overcome their weakness of their brick and mortar. And to go on online, they have to change their strategy. Convert their weakness into opportunity. WO strategy. Question number 4, I think everyone should be able to solve this. Like what is the advantage? Brand identity, right? I think everyone gave the answer brand identity. Amixo had a brand identity. This is where it talks about. This is where the case straight out says Amixo has been a huge success in East Asia with influence on developing nations of Indonesia, Bangladesh, India, and Pakistan. Right? To gain a Japanese brand called Amixo to lease their stores and Etna, they wanted to set up. They also brought in the Samrita, accepted the offer. But this is where it talks about the brand identity. Right? This has been a huge success. Has been a huge success. This is where it talks about brand identity. Absolutely. Absolutely. This is where it talks about brand identity. This is where it talks about brand identity, right? That is the advantage of Amixo from Japan. What about the 5th question? What kind of leadership? What kind of leadership was expected from Ms. Amrita? What kind of leadership was expected from Ms. Amrita? What do you think? The answer is transactional, right? The answer is transactional. Why? Why? The answer is transactional. Why? We will study this in chapter 7, but I will give you a brief on this. Right? What do you think? They wanted Amrita to deep dive into the existing work culture of cosmetics and enhance it while changing the basics of business that matched Amixo's processes, right? They wanted the Indianness in distribution channels and stores, which would allow customers to feel trusted. Now, the job of Miss Amrita, of Miss Amrita is transactional. It is not transformational. It is transactional. She does not have to influence. She does not have to create a new culture. What she has to do is she has to enhance the existing work culture. She has to enhance the existing work culture. She does not have to change or bring something new in the culture. She just has to work on the existing culture and make it better. And make it better, make it in terms of more Indianness, make it more aligned with Amixo. She has to align the business of cosmetics as per Amixo. She does not has to influence or bring something new. She has to work on existing culture. She has to work on existing culture to enhance it. That is why it is transactional leadership and not transformational. These two kinds are not in our syllabus altogether. We will not study about these. These are not the kinds of leaderships we are talking about. The two options that were there with you were transactional and transformational, where transformational talks about a lot of influence and changing from the scratch. Transactional is more about adding on to the existing culture, adding on to the existing processes, right? This is what transactional and transformational are. We will study these in depth in chapter 7. These are not from the chapters you have studied, but still, if you have studied or you're revising, I think this would help, right? We're already 4 minutes above. We're already 4 minutes above. Chetna, I remember you had a question. Probably what you can do is you can drop that question on the email ID. I think probably I can answer you over mail as well. If that helps, I will be happy to do that. Right? Probably because the class is extended for 5 minutes, I would want to wrap this up. I hope this understanding this case, talking about this case, where to find what, right? And how to eliminate the option and keep the right options for us. I think we'll do more of this. After chapter 6, we'll do one more case. I think this is exciting. We will do it live together, right? So we'll do another case. For now, for the questions you have from the book, probably you can drop a mail, right? That will also help. I can answer that over mail. I think any doubts and questions per se? Did you enjoy this thing that we did live? I'll just take another 1 minute to take a feedback if we should do one more case or not. If we should do one more live case or not. I think it's virtual classes at ICAI.in, right? Or org. It's ICAI.org. Virtual classes at ICAI.org. That is where the questions go, right? Thank you. I hope you have enjoyed the session. Probably I'll take another case. I'll take another live case. We'll do that after chapter 6. So thanks, Krishna. That means a lot. Thanks, Srishti. Thanks, Anushka. Sure. We'll do another case. We'll do another good questions, long questions also. We'll practice those as well. Sure, Abhishek. Probably we are late today. So in the next session, we'll cover like my CA journey and what I think are the skills you can actually. I can just tell you, just be active on LinkedIn though. It's going to be massive. It's going to be massive for professionals in the next 1 or 2 years. It is going to help you a lot in your internships, in your industrial training, in your jobs. It is going to help you a lot. When I say this with all honesty. It is going to be game changer for all of you. The more active, the more you understand that social media, that professional social media, LinkedIn, the better it is for you. That is one thing I can tell you, right? Okay, okay. With that, I'll close the session for today. We'll meet in the next session with chapter 6. And probably once we complete chapter 6, we'll do another case, right? A live case and more questions. Till then, please take care and be safe. I'll see you in the next session then, right? Yes, there will be questions like these in the case study, right? All right, everyone. So I'll see you in the next session. Thank you so much.